Company of Heroes history. Hello and welcome to another episode of Company of Heroes history. This is episode 16 today, and this is the second in a short little mini-series that's going through the meta and showing the three very strong meta strategies that evolved in patch 1.5 of the game. Now, if you didn't catch the last episode of Company of Heroes history, that's where we looked at Golradier's unbeatable strategy as he described it, which basically consisted of a very fast tech to the motor pool, getting a quad half track and M8 with armored skirts on the field very quickly to get as much map control as possible, from which you could then get bar upgrades and AT guns from the motor pool, and hold map control, or a good portion of map control, until you got your very fast Pershing out, which in this patch is a little bit quicker and quicker than the Tiger. And so you could use that second power spike to really take control and dominate the field. Now, in response to the unbeatable strategy, Aniketos, here playing on the I Play for Fun handle that he used throughout this patch, and it actually took to the top of the leaderboards, in fact, and where he got second in the Relic ladder contest, I believe. He developed or maybe perfected a Blitz Veterency strategy that we are going to see today. Now, the basic idea there was to have an extended Tier 1, get a few more Tier 1 units, and instead of getting the tech buildings like the Krieg Barracks or Sturm Armory, at least in the first instance, you would instead get stormtroopers on the field and use their Panzerschrecks to help support you against the light vehicle pushes of the allies, and eventually you would supplement that with veterancy to make them a little bit more survivable, and you would win the game that way, particularly late game when your Tigers came onto the field. And I'll have to see how this goes in practice, but that was the general theory behind the strategy. Now, Aniketos has chosen here to split. I should say very briefly, his opponent is Razor. So, although this was a strategy developed in a direct response to Golradier's unbeatable strat, this game isn't against Golradier himself, but against his clanmate and extremely strong player in his own right, Razor, who I believe at this time was level 19, which would have made him second on the Allied leaderboard at the time at which this game was played. So Razor's gone for Rifle Jeep. Pretty common among the Warchild players in this version of the game. Ooh, on the right hand side, it looks like Razor will get up this barbed wire on that side. Yeah. So Aniketos isn't going to be able to push through there and harass that fuel too easily, but he has now got his standard force on the left hand side pushing out here with one Pioneer to cap and then a Volks and MG combo to kind of give himself a little bit of map presence. He's going for a Volks going to be a second, so he's going for probably the pretty standard Volks MG, Volks, and then potentially another MG. That's what we often saw in these builds of the game. That seemed to be the build that people were most happy playing with. It feels quite safe having the second MG to cover the flank of the first MG, although today, of course, the Volks Sniper MG or Volks MG Sniper is perhaps a more common choice. I can see Razor's already set up a flank here. I mean, very early in the game, but we have a flank set up for sure. One squad coming around here, while another one pushes through from the strat point, although this rifleman squad will now find itself pretty handily outnumbered, I think. It's got itself into the heavy cover, which is a nice move, but with two Volks squads, or one deciding to rush in there, that's a little bit risky. Even though he's going to win this engagement, he might take a little bit more damage than was strictly necessary there, and in fact he has left himself open for a flank there with this other squad. I think he's got enough to kind of protect this MG and keep himself out of too much trouble, but nevertheless I think he did get himself in a little bit of a pickle there. Meanwhile, on the right hand side, the Pioneers have been able to decap that strat point, meaning that Razor isn't getting the income from the fuel point on the right hand side. Oh, he's got to be careful here though, Aniketos. He's got to be very careful with these low health Volks squads. But of course, Razor is now getting the income from the left hand side, and Aniketos has not yet pulled his Pioneer back, although it seems like he is now, to get that fuel point on his own side. It is indeed another MG coming back. Just passing here by the two players. Not choosing to engage fully there, although they could very well easily could have. Razor pushing down this central road now. Looks like he wanted to set up a flank of some sort, but obviously remembering the wire is there, not thinking this is not the time to be doing that. Jeep comes over to help out, push that Pioneer off the map. So it is now an awkward situation for Aniketos, or if he was relying on tech, of course it would be, that he doesn't have any fuel income. He does have a little bit of munitions going in from this right point, so he is going to be able to get the Shreks and MP40s perhaps that he might need to give himself that firepower in the mid game, but he doesn't have the fuel income. So this is one of the advantages of the Blitzkrieg strategy, is that you can see he's going for this extended tier 1, now has his 3rd Volkswagen squad, so he's gone for a 5th unit from his Wehrmacht quarters, which is a lot more than a lot of people would go for, at least in these early builds of the game. And the reason he could do that is because he doesn't need to start teching. He doesn't need to start investing that manpower into tier 2. First the upgrade to skirmish phase, and then the tier 2 Krieg barracks itself before he could even think about getting a fighting unit on the field. He will, of course, need to escalate to skirmish phase, which it looks like he's just started now. Oh no, he's gone for the Krieg, the Campcraft Center first to start getting some veterancy, or give himself access to veterancy. But he isn't in a situation where a lack of early game map control is going to lose him the game, as it can do if you want to go for a strategy that's a little bit more fuel heavy. So he's in a decent position here, although it seems to be this game is settling down into something of a split map game, which I'm sure you'll remember is so often the case on Angerville, which, while being very open, you would think it was a little bit more of an aggressive map, but it could often get to the situation where, with a sort of split map situation, and people kind of biding their time to the next tech situation. Now the Blitz Vet guide, he's gone for veterancy 1 on his infantry first. Now what that does, it doesn't actually give you any sort of defensive benefits like the Wehrmacht typically get. What it gave you was a little bit of passive healing on your units. Now today, of course, that's important and useful, but it was especially so in these earlier builds of the game because early bars from Razor, because the med pack ability, which you could use to spend a little munitions to more quickly heal an individual squad, was actually locked behind the tier 4 upgrade. So you weren't able to use that at all until you got yourself up to tier 4, which is an extremely high burden for such a basic and fundamental ability. So I think that's the reason for this quick tech to veterancy 1 infantry. I haven't seen yet if he's decided to go to tier 2. I haven't seen if that's already come in. It may well have done. But of course you will need that to get some Panzerstrikes on the field. Although, having noted that Razor has gone for bars, of course he doesn't have to immediately get that. He knows he's got a little bit more time because of the fuel investment in that. It's not going to be that very fast quad or very fast M8 that can really push you off the field if you aren't prepared for it. The other thing, of course, is that Aniketos doesn't yet have the CPs necessary to get a Stormtrooper squad on the field, so he knows he can't just sit back here. He does have to be a little bit aggressive, one way or another, to get the CPs in, get the experience points, get those CPs, so he can actually call in Stormtroopers, which of course cost 2 CPs. We need to see a Flamer upgrade and a Sniper out in the field, although the Sniper's moving very slowly here. Looks like he is gearing up, potentially. Oh, the Sniper missed there. Dear me. I mean, he had all the time in the world to line up that shot. Is he going to miss the second one? Nope. Does get the second one, although it seemed to be a bit of a wall bang there. Shooting through the wall. In the meantime, he is setting up for, as I expected, seems like he's trying to push through here and get to that cutoff point. It's not the easiest. Oh, Jeep now deciding to rush straight to the base. Will the Sniper go down? He desperately needs... Oh, this is a disaster zone. We need to get that online. Will he get it into the headquarters and keep it safe there? Is he going to try and shoot it? Dear me. That's a bit of a shocker to be honest. He's also pushed forward with these box grenadiers, but hasn't yet supported them with either of his MGs. So that are sat here in no cover whatsoever. Ah! He's, instead of going for the Stormtroopers first, he's gone straight for the Blitz grenade ability. Now, the Blitz grenades are losing a lot of things here. Oh, one squad goes down. Could be a second squad go down here very easily because these bars in the house are so strong. He's now lost to what seems like a mortar attack from Razor. So Razor's gone for a WSC straight after Razor. Oh, and now this Pioneer Squad 2 looks like it's going to go down. Oh, I mean, that's a bit of an awkward situation there. Really not a good moment for Aniketos, losing a Sniper, losing a Volk Squad, losing an MG, which has now been recouped by Razor of all things. And still not having any tech on the field whatsoever, and not having the CPs, because he used one CP to get the assault grenade ability. He hasn't got those stormtroopers at his disposal. So, you know, if the strategy is, well, the strategy is going to have to be very good if Aniketos is going to come back from this, that's for sure, because there's a very awkward moment. And you'd say, although the map control is relatively even, well, is a perfect split, certainly in terms of the manpower war to this point, Razor has had the advantage, I would say. Aniketos is feeling confident enough to push out on the right-hand side. It's an interesting move. I'm not sure if I would be playing quite so aggressively here, although, of course, he still does need those CPs for the Stormtrooper, so he has no choice, really. He has gone for another MG. You can see, I mean, clearly if Razor had gone for a very fast quad, this could have been a very different situation, although perhaps Aniketos would have used his CPs differently, of course. As it is, because Razor has gone for bars, it actually shows, it illustrates how much you can actually get out, how many tier 1 units you can push out before the teching is over. Aha! Razor now has cut that wire on the left-hand side, just caught a glimpse of the engineers over there. So this MG squad is, I would believe, moments away from being flanked, at least by an engineer squad, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if Razor hasn't also brought over a rifle squad. Indeed he has. Aniketos does respond very quickly this time. Oh, although that mortar shot takes the MG down to very low health. Not enough to take out the squad, although that rifleman I'm certain would have been keen to chase there. So we do see that Aniketos has teched. He hasn't just teched to tier 1, he's actually teched himself all the way up to tier 2, sorry. He's teched himself all the way up to tier 3. He's got himself access to the Sturm Armory if he wants it, although I would be surprised if he goes for it. Oh, this flanking rifleman squad here. This MG has not decided to set up yet. Here it goes, it's going for the setup now. This rifle, oh, he's used the suppression ability, bit of a waste of munitions there. He realised he was going to get suppressed and has had to get out of there. So, bit of a waste of that ability, although it will slow down this very light push, it has to be said, from Aniketos. He's trying to get this fuel decapped first and foremost there. I mean, he still has the left-hand fuel under his control, so that income is still there. It's going to help him get the veterancy he wants. I'm interested to see he went for veterancy 1 tanks at this stage. I mean, that obviously will help when he does get some stews on the field shortly, but it's quite far in advance, I would say. Especially when he could really have done with a little bit of extra veterancy, either on his support squads, like these MGs, or setting up with 2 MGs here. This is awkward. Very awkward indeed. It looks like he will get the suppression up on both these squads though, so... Oh! Although, cheeky snipe on this MG gunner. Will the rifleman... They actually avoid that Spurs too. Will they get through? They don't quite get through. But, I mean, I would much rather be in Razor's position here. He's got the WSC online. Another Volk squad. This is an extremely extended tier 1. Really quite interesting to see this in action. I'd completely forgotten quite how long the tier 1 was in this strategy. You can easily see how it could easily be pushed off by a different teching pattern from Razor, but nonetheless, it's very fun to see. That's for sure. Oh, a mine going down there. Now, I would normally be a very big fan of that, but with a mortar going around, I'm sort of less keen. We'll have to see if that does go off. This was being mortared just a moment ago. But the mortar was just stuck in this little area from Razor. Interesting that after the mortar, he didn't go for another WSC unit that we've seen. We know he captured that 1 MG, so perhaps he's feeling confident that's enough to that's enough support weapons for now. CPs are about to come in. I would imagine that as soon as that CP comes in, we'll see some stormtroopers on the field. Yep, here we go. Will he go for the double Shreks? I'm not sure. Oh, no, it seems like he's actually gone for something else. He's prioritized veterancy 2 infantry over getting his first stormtrooper squad in. Interesting choice there. I trust Aniketos knows what he's doing. Perhaps he's thinking that he needs a little bit more survivability on these Volksgrenadiers to keep a bit of map control before he goes for the stormtroopers themselves. Aniketos is going to be very pleased that, given the fact he has, for the last few minutes, had a far smaller force, or at least a less powerful force than Razor. Razor's decided not to be very aggressive, and in fact has been really quite passive in losing control of both fuel points. Which is quite interesting. Look at that HMG squad there, so he's obviously got that in addition to the MG42 that he will have stolen from Aniketos earlier in the game. This is a beautiful flank here by the MP40s. They will absolutely shred, especially with Veterancy 2. They will shred that HMG. Suppression fire ability used on these riflemen, though. It does use the assault grenades ability to break suppression. Now that is an absolute shocker. Now, something they added in this patch was the ability for assault grenades to break suppression, because until this point they didn't. So they weren't so much assault grenades as throwing several normal grenades. So they weren't really very widely used, and they, with that, they were made a little bit more effective, that if you did find yourself pinned, you could use it to break the suppression. Well, it seemed what happened there is that he broke the suppression once, and then Razor just clicked it again with another squad and immediately resuppressed it. So not ideal, but yeah, interesting nonetheless. Oh, this building is very close to going down. I wonder if that... Oh, it was set on fire earlier. So it looks like that fire has been enough to make it very close for him to go down. Now, I believe... Oh, the unit went down. What was that? Was it the mortar doing that damage? So often is in these situations. Can't see what it was. But, here we go. Bundle grenade goes into the house. Oh, no! Looks like he cancelled that the last second and went instead for a Panzerschreck. And now he's going to throw the bundle grenade.
We're losing a sector.
Nope. There it goes. It comes out a little bit slower than expected, but there we go. So the bundle grenade requires you to get up to tier 3, and the ability to get the Sturm Armory in before you're able to throw it. But once you get that online, it's very effective. Ooh, there's another bundle grenade trying to get it. Oh, that was a huge bundle grenade. Brilliant bit of anticipation there from Aniketos. Throws that down in the path of the riflemen who are moving along that road, and in light, in not even light cover, in negative cover, taking even more damage than usual from that. Heavy grenade losing 5 models, a nice usage of 50 munitions there. There's another squad coming in. Doesn't have the munitions currently to get another another Panzerschreck, excuse me. But it does have one on this squad, so that'll sort of tide him over in the anti-tank stakes. Particularly, it seems. I mean, we haven't seen much teching from Razor still. We did see he got an HMG, in addition to the original mortar that he got out of his weapon support center. But we haven't yet seen any vehicles at all, any evidence of the motor pool or tank depot. So, and Razor really hasn't been aggressive enough to get this back online. He also has just wiped his own squad with the mortar there. Very unfortunate indeed. Well, a little bit unfortunate, a little bit kind of brought that on himself, to be honest. And Aniketos has got the cut-off in, not that he needs it, because Razor has basically no income whatsoever. And now this Volkswagen squad has got itself access to a bar automatic rifle, which will make it so much more effective. And will it be able to even take out this squad on retreat? Doesn't look like it. Should be able to sneak out of there. Yeah, but I mean, Aniketos has done a great job here of kind of taking advantage of the overly passive way in which Razor has played this game so far. Oh, looks like we just see a bundle grenade going. No, not quite. We do see Veterancy 3 infantry in for these Stormtroopers, so already they have, in addition to the reduced incoming damage that you get for Veterancy 2, they've also now got the additional health that you get for Veterancy 3. It's a little bit expensive, I think, as an upgrade, but nevertheless very effective, and does make units more survivable. Jeep coming over here to help out. Veterancy 1 Jeep now, excellent stuff. Bundle grenade goes in again. Oh, takes out 3 models. Will they be able to take out the 4th one on retreat and make that another squad wipe? Not for the short term at least, but we may see this get shot by these MP40s. The MG's facing the wrong way, but the MP40s might want to take a few pot shots at it from distance and take it out. Didn't choose to rush across there and get the body block and make sure that goes down, unfortunately. Nice push here. Ooh, Panzerschrecks did take out that Veterancy 1 Jeep. Always a shame, I think, to see a Vet 1 Jeep go down. Veterancy 1 Jeeps is such a rare treat. I would rather see those survive, to be honest. You can see here that this was actually the case for today. Of course, Pioneers benefit from support veterancy rather than infantry, but it was still the case in 1.4, 1.5 that we're in now, that they received the infantry veterancy along with the Grenadiers and Stormtroopers and Volksgrenadiers of this world. Ooh, these riflemen screening for the MG. Of course, he's going to be very worried that there are bundle grenades coming in. You can see that he's not worried about kind of using all his munitions. Boom, another squad wipe there. He's not bothered about using his munitions on bundle grenades, which of course do prevent him from getting another Panzerschreck on these squads, so he's not worried, of course, of the tank depot yet. He's more concerned about getting the CPs in as quickly as possible to get himself up to a stew, I believe, which would explain why he is floating up to 700 manpower right now, which is really more than you would expect from a player of this caliber. Of course, always best, unless you're saving for something specific, to get those units on the field as soon as you can. I'm actually interested to see how effective these stormtroopers are in a sort of head-up fight against riflemen. Seem to be doing extremely well there. I mean, stormtroopers, you so rarely see them unupgraded, given that they are sort of similar and don't really have that many advantages over a standard grenadier squad, despite being a lot more expensive, both for the first initial purchase and to reinforce. So, here we go. So, it looks like Razor has sort of been biding his time trying to get this Crocodile on the field, recognizing this very limited anti-tank on the field, just that one Panzerschreck, I believe, and he wanted to get in here and with the Crocodile, although he's clearly lost a lot of map control in waiting for this moment, he will now probably be able to clear up pretty effectively. Aniketos does what any self-respecting Axis player would do and just runs himself out there as far as he can, gets another Panzerschreck coming in, and continues saving for that stew. Now, of course, the stew in and of itself doesn't do a great deal of anti-tank damage. It isn't that effective anti-tank, it's more of an anti-infantry vehicle first and foremost. But of course you can use it to block. You can use it to sort of tank a little bit of damage from any tanks that the allies can get. And in the case of the Sherman, you can use it to sort of counteract some of the mobility that the Sherman Crocodile has. It doesn't take damage from the Sherman in the first instance, and of course you can use it to get in there and block and stop it from coming in, killing all your stuff and running away, as it was so adept to do. Oh, that movement there with the MP40s I was really not a fan of, moving northwards towards this little bit of light cover, rather than either south to the green cover or just straight away retreating. Could have been, if Razor was a little bit more aggressive in body blocking, could easily have been the reason for the squad going down, as it is the squad will survive. And we do see the first stew on the field for the first time with that nice big chunky gun on the front, pushing around this as well. Does it have the slower projectile? Doesn't look like that's the full howitzer projectile we see today. It seems somewhere in the middle, to be honest, doesn't it? It was buffed in this patch. It's important to notice. It was buffed to be a little bit more effective at ranges, so I think it was at the stage where it was not particularly effective at long range, but its medium and short range accuracy was buffed. But the Allied AT gun was also buffed in this patch, kind of inexplicably, given that it was pretty effective even before this point. It did get a pretty tasty buff, making it even more effective against Stugs and Stews. Probably one of the reasons you didn't see too many Stugs and Stews, Stugs at least, in this patch. Tier 3, of course, have been nerfed a couple of times, as we've seen in the episodes to this point, and it just really, the nerfing never really seemed to stop for the poor Tier 3 of the Wehrmacht. There's a great, I'll link it in the description of this video. There's a fantastic short article on GameReplays.org written by Joe Donnell, which kind of was covering the history of the meta game of Company of Heroes, at least up until the release of Opposing Fronts, I think it was. And one of the things that the author stresses throughout is just how much the Wehrmacht struggled through the different patches of the game for various reasons, and some of the kind of understandable nerfs that came in that perhaps were a little bit too strong, and some of the kind of more inexplicable nerfs that took away the few good opportunities that the Axis had to get advantage over the Allies. Sneaky ninja storms here, moving around the back. It looks like they were trying to get a shot off on the Crocodile, but what it might be now is they actually instead uses it to decrew perhaps even both this mortar and the AT gun. It looks like they're going to try and take up the AT gun from the back. Just trying to take it down with the Panzerschrecks by the looks of things. Another Sherman comes in and pushing it on this left-hand side. Stormtroopers are focusing on this AT gun by the looks of things. We get a couple of Shreks off in the meantime. This Crocodile is pushing on the right-hand side. Hasn't yet got itself any veterancy yet, but will force a retreat there, I would think. Second stew on the field from the Axis. in addition to all of his... I mean, look at all these squads on the field. He has an enormous army at this point. And those Panzerschrecks doing a decent job of forcing back, at least zoning out this Sherman, making it retreat to its base. This squad of Volks did go down. I just missed it, of course. This other Volks Grenadier squad is going to have to get out of there too. There's a lot going on here. I'm sure the players, as well as me as a caster, are really struggling with this. On top of this, oof, another AT gun did come down, but has been instantly decrewed by the Stews. And of course with the Veterancy one, oh, looks like that Volks did die. With the Veterancy one, they take a little bit less damage, of course, and they are keen to keep pushing forward towards the Allies' base. 2 Stews, now that's where you're sort of getting into the realm where they can start really giving some infantry. I was speaking to Songs, who's currently a very good player and very outgoing member of the community, who was still playing the game here in 2021. And he was telling me how that today the stew is particularly effective when you get 2 of them, when they can really start to shred infantry blobs at a much faster rate than you might expect. So 2 might be the lucky number even back now. Razor being very aggressive with his Crocodile, pushing into the base, trying to get any units that are sneaking around. 1 squad of Stormtroopers are in there, trying to be as quiet as possible and reinforce behind the HQ. Now, will the reinforcing squad, they can see that is reinforcing it, will come out cloaked as soon as they do. Okay, so we will be safe back there to reinforce. Look at the amount of flame going out of that Crocodile, absolutely absurd. Ooh, Sherman now pushing in against the stew. Looks like it just want to take it out. The second stew is moving into the center of the road. Has moved across that central road, excuse me. Maybe we're going to take a few pot shots at this house. Got to be careful because there's an AT gun somewhere in here that we saw move over briefly. Although it looks like that stew is doing enormous damage to the house. In so doing, it seems like he has revealed himself to that AT gun. It's going to have to be very careful. Looks like it might go down. Oof, a tasty deflection there. Might be enough to help it get away. But it looks like it will be. Sherman pushed in there and did enough damage to the stew to make that want to retreat. And now this has also done some good damage to the infantry of the Axis here. So they decided to sort of get out of there. And meanwhile the stew has been come back to the base and is going to try and force away the Sherman. You can see from there, from the look at the sheer length of the range on that flame. Unbelievable. You can see even with penetrations like that, it doesn't really do the damage you might expect the stew. Of course, it's not an anti-vehicle. It's not an anti-tank vehicle in and of itself, but you might expect a little bit of a better performance there. Crocodile backing up now into sort of no man's land. Well, it's not even no man's land, is it? It's quite distinctly Axis territory. It's got to be very careful as the other Sherman has decided to push into the base. Now, the one weakness to Aniketos' forces here, he obviously has a great deal of infantry on the field and a couple of nice tanks, but they have got down both of them to very low health now, and he doesn't have any pioneers in the field ready to repair those. It may be that he's not that keen and not that fussed about keeping these on the field and wants to instead save those manpower to get the Tiger up as soon as possible, although this Sherman Crocodile now does get a squad wipe there. Luckily for him, he will be able to keep that Panzerschreck online if he picks it, recruits it, so to speak. But he hasn't yet picked it up. There we go, he does get it. So that's could have been worse if you lose that Panzerschreck. That feels a lot worse than just losing the squad. Although of course, no squad wipe is ever a good thing. Sherman are pushing over this way, trying to track down and take out those stews, those wounded stews. Razor's a very strange mixture of extremely passive. And with these short, brief moments of aggression where he desperately tries to take something out. Oh, another miss. Oh, more misses. Miss. This Sherman is getting itself into an awkward spot here. Will it be able to circle strafe there effectively? It will. Will he decide to get out of there or try and go for the killing blow? Looks like he's decided to get away. I think that's advisable, to be honest. Although, a Panzerfaust from this Volksgrenadier could be enough to take down the Sherman. Will he be able to get away? Doesn't go for the Panzer. He does, and he put it away. Oh, and then take it back out again and does get the final shot. That animation was clearly not quite right there. And I think we're in the situation now where after this final little bit of experience points you can see on the experience meter here, you should have the CPUs to call in that all-important Tiger tank. Don't quite have the munitions yet. The manpower, excuse me. Looks like he has decided. Oh, we see airborne from Razor. Will he go for a strafe air? No, he doesn't. One of the ways of countering stormtroopers, of course, is to use a recon run, followed up by a strafing run in the mid game when you have plenty of munitions on the map. Or at any point, of course, there it is. The strafing run comes in, perfectly aimed. Does manage to take out a few of those squads, and now the Sherman is pretty much has the right now to run around and try and circle strafe this Stu, although it does take a couple more. Gets damaged engine out of control, will go down, although it might get a final shot off. No, it doesn't on this occasion. And now Aniketos has this final power spike that he's been waiting for. The first Blitz Tiger is now joining the field. Accompanied, of course, by a Stormtrooper squad. I mean, such a wonderful bit of value that. It really is insane. And pushing out now the Sherman Crocodile coming back in there, of course. If Razor is able to get a recon flight off now, we'll be able to see where those are. And just one burst of flame could be enough to really do a lot of damage on these Stormtrooper squads. As it is, the Crocodile decides to just back away. I think he heard the Tiger in the fog of war and decided this is not a fight he wants to have any part in. With that Crocodile, so he has got out of there. Difficult situation for Razor now. With this amount of not only a strong vetted infantry on the field, but also the addition of these two tanks, it's going to be a difficult situation when he won't have access to the tanks of his own, although of course the AT guns are pretty powerful. Another strafe goes in, this time just takes out a Pioneer squad. That Pioneer I'd been calling for a good little while. Finally came in. Oh, undergrade in the house. Doesn't take down the MG. It's just been very frustrating for Aniketos, I'm sure, though these Panzerstrecks, I think, have the ability, could well take down this house before too long. Not much health left. MG is not shooting back for some reason. A little bit unfortunate there for Razor. Squad does go down now, and he decides to retreat all these away from that, which I think is a good idea. One Stu did go down there, pushing a little bit too aggressively into the base, and was taken out by that AT gun, I believe. So a little bit of a loss there for Aniketos, but he is now into a situation where he has limited the amount of anti-tank on the field on this right-hand side. So the Tiger does have an opportunity at least to make a little push here and maybe clear out some of these relatively undefended rifle squads on the right-hand side. Oh, we do see a recon run. Is he going to follow it up by a strafe? Looks like he will. Oh, and he gets a squad wipe there. Lovely use of, I mean, Razor has clearly been banking munitions for this very reason, trying to use it to wipe out and diminish the infantry forces that Aniketos is able to field. Aniketos now pushing in with his Tiger, taking out some of the repairing engineers. Didn't get the squad right there that he would have wanted, and that second attack does not hit, so that's a little bit challenging. Has now got the cutoff though, Aniketos, on this right hand side, so that's going to severely limit both the munitions and fuel income of Razor on this side. Cool, that's anything that'll helps, to be honest, to reduce the number of strafes that he has to sort of put up with and swallow. I think that's going to be very helpful indeed. Tiger, excuse me. Crocodile and Sherman now pushing out on this right hand side. They of course knew that there's a Stormtrooper squad around here somewhere, but haven't yet been able to sort of track it down and find out where it is. They are wisely retreating back towards the support of the Tiger here. Riflemen, got to be careful they don't get caught out on this road, except they will be able to just sneak away. These looks like they're a little bit too far away from this Wehrmacht quarters to be reinforced, although in fact looks like he's happy to move out with them unreinforced while he saves for a second armoured assault force, that second Tiger which he wants to go on the field. Whoa, huge hit from the Tiger, takes out 3 models and causes their riflemen to drop the BAR out of the window. Bit of followed up by a misfire is less than ideal. Oh! What a strafe! What a huge strafe there from Razor. Took out 3 squads of infantry, took out, I believe, 2 Stormtrooper squads and a Volksgrenadier squad. Luckily for Aniketos, they did drop their Panzerstrecks on the floor, so we'll be able to recrew those. And and at least those munitions won't be wasted. That is a huge moment there. Fantastic use of the munitions for that strafe. Well targeted. And certainly could be enough to turn the tide here. I mean, look at how little he has now, Aniketos now has on the field. Just the 2 Stormtrooper squads, a single MG, which may as well not be around, it's so low on health, and these 2 Tigers. So he desperately needs to keep these Tigers alive. Stormtroopers helping out with that a lot. But if there's no Pioneers on the field to heal these up, they're both so low health. Or at least one's extremely low health, may even go down here. He doesn't have much out there. Doesn't quite yet have the munitions for a manpower blitz either. They're sort of giving him the manpower he needs to either get a few more squads on the field or to get the Pioneers out to heal this Tiger. Might go down. Wouldn't it be going for a Blitzkrieg assault actually? Looks like that might be his option. Oh, a little bit of friendly fire there, and this Sherman with the new up gun does get the kill on that. The Crocodile now getting itself up to triple veterancy as well. Wonderful bit of positional play there by Razor. Well done indeed. This one Tiger is forced to retreat, and the Sherman Crocodile coming in here. It seems like this thing has never got low on health. Oh, bombing run, huge bombing run from Razor. This must have an enormous amount of munitions in the bank. Does get damaged engine on that Tiger. Could be in a position now to force it away with, if he uses the AT guns pushing up here, and with the support of the Sherman, could take that out. I mean, it's always risky to push against something that's so strong in itself, particularly with this, albeit limited support of these Stormtroopers. But certainly, he does have some potential to push and take this out. Although, having said that, we're not sure exactly how much Razor has on the field. Let's have a brief look and see what Razor's up to. Obviously, I'm mainly doing this from Aniketos' point of view. Oh, actually, Razor 2 has got those 3 AT guns and those 2 tanks, but his infantry forces are extremely limited. So perhaps it's not too surprising to see he hasn't been pushing into the base. Interesting to see him prioritizing getting another Sherman out. I think I can see the logic behind that, to be honest. Map control is not as important at this stage when he's got the supply drops coming in, supplementing his resource income. He's going to be more concerned about making sure that Aniketos doesn't get that sort of overwhelming force that he needs to push him off the map and push him to an annihilation. Victory points are not in the immediate future going to be a problem, so I think that's a really good decision now to get another Sherman out, give himself that little bit more survivability against the heavy armor of Aniketos. Excuse me, just having a quick sip of water there. Let's switch back to Aniketos now and see what he's decided to do here. So it does seem like he's saving up his manpower. Hasn't decided to replace any of those squads that he lost, although he could at this point. Seems like he's really keen on getting another Tiger on the field whenever the opportunity arises. And he's actually in the situation now where he could get a second Tiger on the field, push with those 2 Tigers, and then immediately use manpower blitz and get himself another Tiger in the field if he was to lose one of the first 2. And this power spike is incredibly difficult to handle for the Allies, who, unless you have Allied War Machine, don't really have an equivalent ability. Ooh, these Stormtroopers have found themselves decloaked. Oh, he does try and get them out of there, but might lose a couple of models as they get hung up on this Sherman. Looks like they will get out of there okay, don't have to worry. Although these 2 Shermans could easily do a lot of damage as they try and retreat. Ooh, they are so powerful. AT gun getting a nice snipe as well. And now these other 2 ones are actually retreating while cloaked, which is impressive. And Razor now pushes in with these 2, just the 2 Shermans pushing in. I think he desperately needs AT support, although he does just get the bombing run in. Gets another damaged engine critical on this Tiger. Will now want to push it again and take it out, get the finishing blow. But with the support of those other Tigers, it might not come off. The reflection does take it out, but I wouldn't be surprised if this Sherman doesn't go down. If I was Aniketos, I'd be prioritizing that triple veterancy Sherman, trying to get that as soon as possible. The other one does go down, but I think Razor will be more than happy to have taken out a Tiger for a Sherman with no veterancy. It's a very good trade for him. Although, of course, if Aniketos recognizes it, he could now hit that manpower blitz and get another Tiger and yet another Tiger, and have an opportunity to push once more while knowing that the enemy has a very weak...
We're losing a sector.
His manpower just completely disappeared. Triple veterancy on his tanks. Still has the munitions in the bank, so it looks like that isn't, at least for the short term, going to be his priority. Although a strange push around here with the Tiger, putting itself in harm's way when you know your opponent has 3 or 4 AT guns on the field. Be very careful where you put it. You don't want to get hit a mine on this central road and then find yourself surrounded by AT guns. You could go down very quickly, however strong the Blitz Tiger is, once it has this double veterancy, as we see here. Looks like Aniketos is prioritizing trying to take out these AT guns. Looks like Razor kind of had that sixth sense and saw that coming. Aniketos now decloaks, gets a couple of shots off, will be able to take out this AT gun. Another one is now pushing into the base. Move back with this couple of AT guns, has forced away that Tiger. In the meantime, the other AT guns are now pushing in on the side of the base. Ooh, looks like Razor, despite having the victory point lead and the kind of positional advantage, having this right-hand side, looks like he's decided to sort of push in, trying to get in towards the base of Aniketos, which I think is a very brave move. He loses the triple vet Crocodile. Oh, I mean, you work so hard to get the thing up to triple vet and get all of those beautiful offensive bonuses you get for it. To then lose it in an instance like that seems like a real shame, a bit of a waste of resources, to be sure. A bit of waste of resources, to be sure. Right, so now kind of fighting consistently with this very low health rifleman squad. Doesn't he get a bit of veterancy on them and he's used the suppression fire ability? Seems like for some reason he's keen to keep that victory point online, which, I mean, it's not so close that that's going to be the game changer. And now, of course, Manpower Blitz does come in, getting that extra manpower income for the short term. Ooh, are we going to see another strafe? We do see another strafe. Takes out one squad, almost takes out a second. Not enough to completely finish off these Stormtroopers, unfortunately, for Razor, but certainly pretty strong. Razor had just enough time, by the looks of things, to get that triple veterancy Sherman back up to full health. It's going to help him out a lot in these engagements. It's not going to be enough, I don't think, to take out this Tiger on its own, but certainly won't hurt his cause at all. Amazing that Razor has basically made no attempt on the left-hand side for the last 20, 30, 40 minutes. He's barely pushed on the left-hand side at all throughout this game. This is a very interesting decision from him. Clearly happier to stay on the right, where the 2 victory points are located. So I don't blame him necessarily for that, but may come to regret it when he watches the replay and finds out that a single MG42 squad with only 1 member was keeping him back this whole time. A couple of Shermans and an AT gun will be enough to, at least for the short term, push back this Tiger. Looks like another AT gun being dropped in, although it's dropped right in front of this Tiger, which could get a big shot off. Initially does get a good shot off and takes quite a good bit of damage off before the AT gun's even had a chance to shoot. A third Sherman now pushing over. The addition of this AT gun, these Shermans should be plenty to take out this Tiger. Aniketos making no attempt yet to retreat, does now start to retreat with the damaged engine. I'm not sure it's going to be enough. Razor pushing forward with these 3 Shermans. Can he take it out? We're seeing so many deflections. The second Tiger, by the looks of things, pushing in around the back, will be able to take out the 1 Sherman. Will it? Main gun destroyed. Might be able to sneak away into the fog of war. Won't quite get far enough away. And he's taken out. Now these other 2 Shermans have got to be a bit careful as well. They are going to be adequately supported by this AT gun. But there's also a bit of support here in the form of these Stormtroopers. It could go down though. Gotta be so careful. Oh, out of control on the Tiger. The Tiger does this, its last sort of gasp thing. Does manage to take out one of those Shermans, but the triple vet Sherman does still remain on the field. I think that's one of those engagements Aniketos is definitely going to regret. Not sure why he saw the need to push in there so aggressively with those 2 Tigers when he knows he has very limited manpower income because of the manpower blitz ability, although that has just recharged. And he's only 30 seconds away from having enough munitions to press it again and get another Tiger on the field. So that's kind of putting a timer on Razor, to be honest. He won't know that, of course, how long he has left, but it does kind of put a timer on him to prepare for it. Oh my goodness, he's pushing in now with a triple vet Sherman, which could now easily go down. Oh, Razor, no. Razor, no, what are you doing? Uses the strafe to good effect to suppress those squads. It might be enough to get it out. I mean, that's obviously he knew he had the strafe available and could use it on those Stormtrooper squads, but he's just in such a good position now. Doesn't have the map control, but could easily get the map control if he put his mind to it for a second. Has taken out those 2 tanks. Obviously, you got to be worried about the Panzerschrecks on the field. Oh, he's pushing it so aggressively, trying to go for the take out the base, trying to go for the annihilation victory, but he's just throwing away manpower. I mean, this double vet squad, as soon as you lose the crew on that, the veterancy disappears, which is going to hurt you so much in the future engagements with the Tigers. He now recognizes that he's thrown it in there unsupported and is going to have to get it out, and he does just manage to sneak it out of there. A little bit of luck for him. Actually, the other little bit of luck is that he'll, by doing that, Aniketos has actually lost himself the ability to use the manpower blitz for a little bit while now. So he has given Razor that little bit more time that he needs to cap a bit of the map. And get himself a little bit into a bit of a stronger position. He is now pushing in again with these units. He's obviously very keen to go for the annihilation. To be honest, I don't know exactly why that is. He's putting himself in a position now where his rear armor of his Sherman is completely exposed to these Stormtroopers that have got 4 Panzerschrecks between them, so an enormous amount of anti-tank power. And is it enough to take out that Sherman? Not quite. It's a minor miracle that survived. It looks like he's keen to get in there and try and take out the headquarters before Aniketos is able to call in another Tiger. It seems like he's desperate to do that, but he had what he needed. He had everything he needed to counter. Oh, that is absolutely painful. I think he had everything he needed to counter another Tiger, excuse me, if it did get on the field. If he, instead of losing these, he just kept them in a nice defensive position around here, maybe keeping this VP on side. He also hasn't retreated his Shermans enough, so he's put him in a position where the Stormtroopers have been able to chase them down and take them out. And now we're in a position where, even though there's a grand total of 6 people, not 6 squads, 6 people support representing the Axis at this time, that may be enough to close out the win here. He's obviously going to be able to get one armoured assault force, hit the manpower blitz to get another armoured assault force in very soon. So Razor will be facing 2 Tigers in the very near future. He's going to need those AT guns, and in effect he threw away 4 AT guns by trying to push the base, when if he just kept his position around these VPs, maybe invested in a little bit more infantry with his surplus manpower and got some capping done on the left hand side, Aniketos, I can't imagine a world in which he would have been able to keep up with the infantry on the field, particularly when those strafes seemingly are so devastating. As it is, he's invested in another Crocodile. Clearly, Crocodiles are very powerful against the infantry on the field, these pesky Stormtroopers that have been causing him so much hassle. But I think, oh, bundle grenade on these, repairing engineers, they do go down. Very nice move there. Not even going to need the manpower blitz. Does take out that Sherman with veterancy 3. Aniketos has now brought this single man heavy machine gun, MG42 heavy machine gun, excuse me, onto the right hand side to cap that point, and he's now going to use that Tiger to push in, take out this Crocodile, and really put the pressure on Razor now, kind of turn things around that bait. Gotta be very careful though. The Crocodile is so mobile. If he gets his Tiger out of position, the Crocodile could easily find a lot of kills in the base, which it seems like that's what he's trying to do, although he's now popped the Blitzkrieg assault ability, so which makes the tanks move faster and have a little bit higher rate of fire, using that to try and take out this Crocodile before it's too late and before it takes out all these infantry. Just about in time, managed to take that out before that huge tongue of flame comes out and takes out all of those infantry. Could easily have seen them all going down in one go. Also didn't have the time to send in another strafing run, and perhaps he didn't have the munitions in the bank to do so. But Aniketos is now making the decision to move out with all of these squads extremely low health. not a one of them has more than half of its members in the squad, so they're extremely vulnerable. Could easily go down to a well-placed stray 4-2. Oh, and Razor has now put down one of his AT guns just a little bit too far forward. So Tiger is going to be able to sneak around the back and get a flank off before it's able to really start doing its damage to this Tiger. In the meantime, the single rifling squad is pushing forward to the strap point for some reason. I have no idea why that would be his priority at this point. Isn't going to be able to take that, is instantly pinned. Tiger receives a bomber grenades, which completely whiffs, but a nice attempt. Likely to go down. This Tiger is going to get hit by this bombing run. Listen, use it very quickly. Does sort of take a decent amount of damage, but that's nowhere near enough to worry it too much. And Razor now, I think, is realizing that he's sort of thrown away the opportunity for a really strong victory here. Oh, absolutely had a bundle of opportunities to take this game. I think Razor, there's a lot of chances he had to really seize the initiative. But I think by being too aggressive at the base, he's sort of lost too many of those AT guns that, if he still had them on the field and wasn't desperately dropping in new ones at the last second to try and take up the Tigers, could easily have done it. Strafe comes in. This one not as effective. Clearly he's had so much munitions in the bank. Those supply drops really helping out. Aniketos saying please don't drop hack. Drop hacking, of course, was a big problem in this game around this time. If you just pulled the plug on your connection or your internet connection dropped for any reason, Relic wasn't able to consistently discern who was the dropper and who had been dropped, you know, so to speak. So there was a lot of times when top players or even lower level players would lose long streaks on the ladder due to opponents dropping from the game when it was already decided. It was a very frustrating bug for a lot of people. Not sure Razor really appreciated that joke for Aniketos. Of course, there was a little bit of bad blood between these two players because, as a result of their affiliation to two different clans. Aniketos, of course, was part of Micro Society, whereas Razor was a member of Warchild. We may at some point look at some of they had a clan war around 1.5. We may at some point look into some games from that clan war, although I believe it wasn't full of the most exciting games. We might have a look at that briefly. As it is, Razor being pushed back into his base now. Clearly getting a little frustrated. He's hanging on though, fighting to the last, which is, you know, commendable and admirable, has to be said, but I really don't think there's anything you can do now. These two Blitz Tigers, triple veterancy, nothing on the field now for the Allies. Can't imagine they can do anything at all. Another AT gun getting dropped in. Another desperation AT gun again being dropped in slightly too close to the Tiger, so it just gets taken out before it can even load a shell. And now the tank depot being shot down in the fog of war. GG comes out from Razor. Good bit of sportsmanship there. And that will be the end of the game. I hope you've enjoyed watching this game and seeing the Blitz veterancy strategy in action. I think you can see just how versatile and powerful it was, and the reason why Aniketos was able to ride the wave of this strategy right to the top of the leaderboards. Very powerful indeed. It's got those power spikes throughout the game, and certainly is a good one to watch. I hope you've enjoyed this, the second of this sort of mini-series. We've got one more to look at, which is Golridier's response to the Blitz veterancy strategy. He came up with a very in-depth guide, which is beautifully animated, has to be said, by Ratbones, who was a fantastic illustrator. We worked with Warchild on their strategy guides for a short while, and we'll be going over one game that gives an example of that in the next episode. Until then, thank you very much for watching to this point, and I hope to see you again next time.